Hannah, when you were 6 years old, we went on vacation in the Dominican Republic, and we went ziplining. And it was our first time ziplining, and so we tried to explain to you in advance what that would mean, but you really didn't get what that meant until we got there. So we climbed up all of these stairs, which felt like a million stairs, to the top of the zip line, and then you saw what it meant. And you started to tear up a bit, and I said, okay, this is entirely up to you. We walk down all of those stairs, or we go across. It's entirely up to you. And you had been like crying a little bit, and then you sort of thought about it, and then you went like this. You didn't say a word, you just went, I'm like, okay, across? Okay, we're going across. So you ziplined, and you loved it. And this was a turning point in your life, because at that moment when you went like this, you became an adventurer. And since then, oh boy, whatever it is, rock climbing, caving, rappelling, cliff jumping, we can't even keep up with you. So for example, we went cliff jumping into water, grandparents don't freak, into water in Jamaica this past summer. So they have small, medium, and large cliffs, right? So Hannah, of course, chooses the large cliff. And then Jeremy, of course, can't be outdone by his sister, so he has to choose the large cliff as well. I could do the small one on my own, and then Hannah held my hand so we could do the medium one together. And that's how it is. You are constantly choosing greater and greater adventures and prompting us to overcome our fears. For this bat mitzvah, you came across every challenge, knocking down each hurdle swiftly and well. We started learning for your bat mitzvah the day after your birthday last year. We started learning for your bat mitzvah. Okay, you're absolutely right. The day after the date of your bat mitzvah, that would have been like a year ago, March 5th. 14th. Okay, we started a year ago. See, I got to get it just right. It's so hard. A year ago, March 14th, we started studying for your bat mitzvah, yes? And then by July, when we met with Rabbi Kligfeld, you had already completed your Haftorah, one Aliyah Haftorah, Mincha, Kabbalat Shabbat, Mariv, Shachri, Torah service, and Musaf. And even though you had 8 months to go, Rabbi Kligfeld was like, oh, so this bat mitzvah could take place tomorrow, huh? Maybe we should have taken him up on that idea. And that's why this parsha is your birth parsha and your bat mitzvah parsha, Ki Tisa, because the name of your parsha means when you lift up. And the beginning, it's talking about a census, but instead of saying when you count the people, it says when you lift up their head. Ki Tisa, when you lift up. That means that you lift yourself up. That's what you did in the moment of the Dominican Republic. You lifted yourself up and you said, okay, let's do it. Let's go. And that's why this is the name of your parsha, and this is the perfect parsha for you. And Ki Tisa, when you lift up, actually the first time that you lifted yourself up and took your first steps was right outside these doors in the lobby during Shabbat services. You had made us worry a little bit because you were 16 and a half months old, and my doctor had started saying, well, if she doesn't start walking soon, call me. And I thought, well, what are you going to do about it? But okay. So she made me worried, but it turns out you were choosing your moment. And you chose a moment where you had an audience. Abba and I and Jeremy and Safta Berenbaum and Josh and Mira were all standing there outside in the lobby, and several congregants were there too, and you picked up yourself and you walked your couple steps and you sat down and everybody cheered. And your first steps were announced by the congregant that was standing there. When it came to the announcements for the end of this service, the congregant announced, and during this service, Hannah took her first steps. And everybody sang you Mazel Tov. So that was your Ki Tisa. That was your first when you lift up kind of moment. And that's exactly what you did in the Dominican Republic and in so many moments where you think about it, you make a decision, you lift up, and you go ahead and you do it. And that phrase, ki tisa, it echoes a verse in the Psalms, Psalm 121, which says the same verb, Esa einai el haharim me'ayin yavo ezri me'in Hashem oseh shamayim va'aretz. This, which means I will lift up my eyes unto the mountains, from where my help comes. My help comes from God, the maker of the heavens and the earth. And that's really been the slogan, the mantra of the Jewish people ever since. In tough moments, like this one, we lift up our heads and we have faith in God's help. And in this week's Parsha, Moses faces a moment of decision, like the one that you had when you went ziplining. He had climbed up that mountain, like you said, and he had gotten very small and climbed all the way up, which took a long time. He had gotten the 10 Commandments from God, and then when he comes down, he sees that the people are worshiping the golden calf. And he's so upset, and he's so disappointed, and he even drops the tablets, and he has a choice. He can give up. God says to him, if you don't want these people anymore, forget them. I'll start over with you, because God is so upset. So he has this moment where he could give up, but instead he doesn't. He said, I love these people. We're going for it. We're going to find a way. He goes back up the mountain. He gets the new sets of tablets, and he does it again and tries again. Ki tisa. He lifted up his head, and he went for it, and he made a decision to go for it. We are facing a time like the one that Moses did. It's a scary time in the world. With coronavirus, it's been a really scary moment. And I know that this week has been, by a mile, the scariest of your life. But coronavirus is a highly contagious disease. But you know what else is a highly contagious disease? Fear. And you know what else is a highly contagious disease? Hatred. And in the last couple years, we've seen that disease spread as well. We've seen you have to face fears that I never had growing up. Fears of going to synagogue or to the kosher market and thinking about whether they had armed security or not. But despite all that, ki tisa, you lifted up your head and you have not given up. You've lifted up your head and you have kept going in love and in joy. And we have insisted on not missing out on any kind of joy. And in this week's Parsha, I was really struck by some of the juxtapositions this morning. And I think these are qualities about you that actually I didn't even think so much about until this week. It's, as I mentioned, it says in the Parsha that they have the hand washing for the priests, that the priests are supposed to wash their hands. Now, before this whole thing even started, Hannah has loved to wash her hands. Now the entire world is reaching the level of hygiene that Hannah has been at for quite some time. And I never really appreciated this quality about you until this week. But I really appreciate it. But it says that that laver, that hand washing thing, the Midrash tells us that it was made out of mirrors that the glass was made out of mirrors. The mirrors that the Israelite women had used to flirt with their husbands. They would kind of look in the mirror and say, oh, don't you see how cute I am? Oh, you know, and that's, and I'm not making up this midrash, okay? And that this aroused the husbands and encouraged them to make love to their wives and to conceive children even during these horrible times of being in slavery. They insisted on love and on connection, and they found a way to be together. So that hand-washing thing was made out of metal that showed the bravery of the Israelite women in that time. And so we have this juxtaposition of, on the one hand, being extremely cautious, and on the other hand, insisting on joy and on love. And that's really been your approach to this whole thing, even before now and until now. You are very, very careful and vigilant about your health. Safta Berenbaum said that you could be running the CDC with the level of precaution that you've been doing. But you are, on the other hand, the biggest adventurer and insisting on love. And when at some point in this week we were told that we weren't allowed to have all of the people we wanted in the lunch, you were so upset because you are, but I love this person, but I want this person, but I love, and you had so much love. And if you are lucky enough to be loved by you, you are really a lucky person. because no matter what happens, even like your best friend Netta who moved to Israel, even if you move halfway around the world, your love for that person continues. So you are at once fiercely careful and vigilant and passionate about your health and the health of those you love. And you are also an incredible adventurer and an incredible giver to this community and to all of us. And I want to thank this community. This has been an extraordinary, in gymnastics, you know how they have the level of difficulty for a certain jump that they have, and they'll give you, that was a certain jump with the, quadruple somersaults or whatever they're doing in diving too, but they give it a degree of difficulty. This week was the highest possible degree of difficulty for this bat mitzvah, and still you nailed the landing and the whole thing. And I want to thank this community, I want to thank this synagogue for staying open. It was not looking like that might happen at one point this week, so I want to thank the synagogue for being one of the few synagogues in the whole area who is being open, and to know that the world can shut down, but we are still in business. We are still in the holy business of bat mitzvah, and that we are not letting anything, no coronavirus, no come hell or high virus, we are having this bat mitzvah. I want to thank the shul that I didn't have to have this in my backyard in the rain, because I'm not sure how that would have worked out today. So I'm grateful that we're here, but no matter what, no one was taking the joy of this moment and the joy of this celebration away from us. So I'm really grateful that had come together today. I also want to thank the Long Beach community and Deborah Chinkin for representing them. For Jeremy, poor guy, we made him have 2 bar mitzvahs, one in here and one in Long Beach, but his Torah portion, the 10 Commandments, repeated during the year, so we were able to do that, have him have 2 bar mitzvahs within 1 year, but your Torah portion is unique to this parsha. So as far as I'm concerned, the only good thing to come out of the coronavirus is that the Long Beach community is joining us, some in person and some virtually. So I'm really grateful that they are here. But it's been poignant and it's been powerful. Your approach to life and to this moment has really informed our approach to this moment. But still, in these scary times, I find reason for hope. And I want to share with you a story that when I look back on it, gives me reason for hope. When I was around your age, a boy in my life said to me, "I'm better than you are because I can be president and you can't." And I said back to him, "You can't be president either, you're Jewish." And what's interesting to me looking back on that conversation is that neither one of us challenged the other. I did not challenge his assumption that you had to be a man to be president, and he did not challenge my assumption that you had to be Christian. And if we had added to that list, I'm sure we would have said white, Christian, heterosexual, male. We just thought that that's how it was and how it had to be. And so it's poignant to me that during holding you in your arms, I did get to vote for a woman for president. It's poignant when you were younger. It's poignant to me that when I stood in line for 5 hours to vote last week, that on that ballot were 2 Jews, were 2 women, were an openly gay man. And so I feel like there has been some progress, even amidst these scary times, between my bat mitzvah and yours, which is that the horizon of your dreams are broader than mine were. That you don't feel limited by your faith or by your gender on what you can be in the world, and you know that no one else should be limited by those things to fulfill their aspirations. In the years to come, as you try to achieve your dreams, you'll have to face moments like the one that Moses faced at the golden calf, and the one at ziplining, and the one we're facing now, where you have to decide whether to back down in fear or whether to go ahead bravely into the unknown. My blessing for you is that when you face all of those moments, you'll do just like you did in the Dominican Republic. You'll go and you'll decide to move forward. You'll kitisa, you will lift up your head and move forward in strength and in love, and you'll continue to inspire all of us to do the same. And let us say, Amen. Esainai el hehorin me'ayin yavo ezri. Esainai me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri mein Hashem oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ezri mein Hashem oseh shamayim va'aretz. Mazel tov. Mazel tov.